Good morning. It's just after 6:30 and I'm again starting early to avoid the heat because it's certainly getting hotter now. My plan today is to follow this Adriatic cycle path, hopefully all the way to north of Ancona. But this cycle path, as I've discovered, can sometimes come to an abrupt end. So I'm going to follow it as far as I can, and then I'll have to join the road, which is the SS16, which is quite a busy road. So I'm hoping I don't have to join it too often. We'll see. This is the frustration of this cycle path. After 5 kilometers it comes to an abrupt end, but there is a path that probably goes along the coast there, so I'm going to give it a whirl. This is not turning out quite so well as it's following the banks of a river. It's a nice path, but I'm hoping it's leading me in the right direction. This is where I say some extremely expletives, but I will avoid it because the path has brought me to the railway line and I can't get across there. Oh, and that was 6 kilometers. Oh, yeah, you know what I'm going to say. So that's the frustration of the Adriatic cycleway. So I'm now back on the SS16 for a bit. Definitely not such a nice road. After 19 kilometers, I'm back on the Adriatic cycleway. I'm tailgating this guy because his slipstream makes it easier for me. I don't think you can read that, but this is the 43rd parallel. Let's see if I can zoom into the map. There you go. Well, so far so good. And once again the Adriatic path comes to an abrupt halt. So it's back to the main road. After 45 kilometers I'm now back on the Adriatic cycleway and heading towards Porto San Giorgio. Looks like this has had a fresh coat of paint, this bit. Oh, not a bloody again. Oh, for God's sake. This must be the equivalent of Battersea Power Station. They're obviously holding it up with all this steel for some reason. Well, they obviously can't make up their mind whether to use red tarmac or blue. Now they've painted it green. They can't make up their mind. Not a bloody again. I don't believe this Adriatic cycleway. There's no signs. It just comes to a complete stop. Coming up to 11 o'clock and I've done about 75 kilometers. And I reckon I've got about 45 kilometers to do. And you obviously got the impression that That cycle path, Adriatic, is a lovely cycle path, but there's just not enough signs to tell you when it starts, when it finishes, when you have to join the main road, and it's incredibly frustrating. But it could be a fantastic cycle path. Even though I'm on the main road, the SS16, there are some nice views. Oh joy! And it's busy as well. God for that. That was awful. I hate tunnels. If you can see a police car behind me, that's because he's just stopped me from cycling on this road. Well, they're now taking my documents, my passport details. After 135 kilometers, I've made it to Senigallia. So I suppose you're wondering why the police stopped me. Well, coming out of Ancona, I thought I was joining the SS16 road, but as it turns out, I was joining a special SS road, which I didn't realise. Anyway, the police came up alongside me and said I shouldn't be on that road. So I said I'm on an SS, and they said no, you're on a special SS. So they insisted on following me, and since it was about 5 to 10 kilometers before I could get off the road, they had the blue lights flashing and holding up the traffic behind me. So eventually I got off the special SS road, and we came down a slipway, and then they insisted on taking me into the town where we stopped, and they asked for my passport, for my details. And I thought, well, that means I'm going to get a fine or a warning. So there were two cops, one bad cop who couldn't speak Italian, and there was a good cop who could speak English. Did I say Italian? Sorry, he couldn't speak English. Anyway, the good cop could speak English, and he was also a keen cyclist, an adventure cyclist. So we started chatting, and I said, why do you want my details? And he said, well, we're checking to make sure you haven't got a criminal record. So then the amusing part was that they put my nationality in, and their iPad didn't recognise Great Britain, it didn't recognise Inglaterra, and it didn't recognise United Kingdom. It didn't help that they weren't spelling Great Britain correctly. So I took hold of his iPad and spelt it correctly for him, and that still didn't work. But eventually they let me off with a warning. Oh, I forgot to mention, they then eventually had to ring headquarters to find out what they should do, because their system didn't recognise my nationality. I said it might have been down to Brexit, but they said no. So they rang, and I heard them ringing a UK number, and they were checking to see if I had a criminal record. Luckily, it came back negative, and they let me go. I suppose this is the equivalent of mowing the grass. But you can see the difference. This is the beach bar sand, and this is the ordinary, horrible sand. Natural.